Thanks, Colin. Now, the Cowboys have by far the worst odds to win the NFC East at 40-1, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, but they have the easiest opponent based on record this week in the Bengals. The Giants host the Cardinals, while the Eagles have to face the Saints, and Washington goes on the road against the Niners. So, Shannon, how does the NFC look on Monday?
Cowboys will be in third place.
Third place?
Third place.
Oh.
So
you got the Eagles getting wiped out.
The Eagles aren't going to beat the Saints. So they'll be in third place, but nothing is looking good for the Cowboys because guess what? They're not going to be in first place after this weekend, and that's all I care about. And as long as they're not in first place come week 17.
Okay. So here is my biggest fear. The Giants at home are 2.5-point underdogs to Arizona. I fear the Giants will lose that game. Washington is a 3-point underdog at San Francisco. I fear Washington will lose that game. My Cowboys are a 2.5-point favorite, 3.5-point favorite at Cincinnati. I fear my Cowboys will win that game. You think they'll win that game, too?
Yes, I do.
Okay? And that would mean that my 4-9 Cowboys are only one game out of first on Monday when we sit here again, and they'll tease and torment me a whole nother week on this show.
So, okay, that one game out of first will mean they're in what? Third place.
Okay, but one game out of first is crazy at this point. 4-9 and you're one game out?
But here's the thing. You guys have never been more than 2 games out of first place the entire season.
Okay, who has the easiest schedule of all those 4 teams in that division? It's the Cowboys by far.
But who has the worst team of any team in that division?
I grant you that. I give up. I'm with you. I want a quarterback. I want a high draft pick.
You got a quarterback. He just happened to be injured.
He wants $42 million.
Okay, pay it.
And we just can't. He's not that good.
Whoa.
He's very good, but he's not great.
He's great.
He's not my homeboy. I give you that.
You said you'd rather have him over my homeboy.
Okay, but why wouldn't I want a higher pick? And right now, Cincinnati's a half game worse than we are. So they're sitting with the 3rd pick. We need to lose.
So you'd rather lose to Cincinnati?
Well, what sign of life have I seen all year? I've seen one game at Minnesota. Okay. That's all I got to hang my helmet on, right?
Well, you did good against Atlanta, right?
We stole it.
Okay,
yeah.
Look, you're going to be in 3rd place, and you're going to get your hopes up. You're going to come in here, and you're going to say, how about them Cowboys? And then you're going to lose out.
Okay, but one game out, I got a ray of false hope, right?
You're going to be like you were in 2014. Where'd y'all go, 4-12, 2014?
No,
I mean, 26 after you get Zeke, 2015. That would be
it should be a fun football weekend. That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back Monday at 9:30 Eastern, but don't go anywhere because the herd starts
Let's go,
now.
Bengals.
Undisputed.
The Cowboys defense is dead last in points allowed and rushing yards allowed per game, and they haven't done their offense any favors without Dak Prescott by also being tied for 29th for takeaways and 30th in 3rd down conversion rate allowed. So, Shannon, is it time that the Cowboys fire defensive coordinator Mike Nolan?
For me, I'm going to say no, Skip. You got 4 games. If you want to move on after the season, do that, because I don't know what system that you can install in a month that you think is going to get you over the top.
Okay, then go to the end. Would you cut bait at the end of the year? Have you seen enough?
But I thought coaching was the problem last year.
Okay, well, that's what you've been telling me.
No, you told me that.
No, but I'm saying you've been arguing against that all along. So should they have kept Jason Garrett is what you're saying?
Yeah. Hold on.
After all that mediocrity?
I bet you would give a pretty penny to be 500 right now, wouldn't you? What would you give right now to be 500 as we sit right here today?
Should have been 10-6. We got decimated on offense. We lost 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a quarterback who's made Pro Bowls.
6-6 Jason Garrett would have you in first place in the NFC East right now, Skip.
Well, he's got the New York Football Giants as the offensive coordinator.
And your guy right now, the made man, Skip Bayless came out here. Ooh, he was happy when he found out Mike McCarthy was the head coach. Now, everybody told me last year it was coaching. It was Jason Garrett, 8-8. Skip gave the man name 8-8 Jason Garrett. I said, Skip, the man named Red. Everybody called him Red. No, 8-8. And then you told me Chris Richard. And you told me Rod Marinelli. So Jerry Jones says, you know what? I hear you, Chris. I hear, because Jerry Jones hears everything. I hear you. I'm going to get rid of the guy that's like a son to me. Gone on vacation. We've had family get-togethers. When we have a family get-together, Jason Garrett and his lovely wife right there, because we family.
That is true.
I'm going to jettison my son or someone that's close to me like a son. Just like Jerry Jr., just like Steven, just like Charlotte, the other. Yes, Charlotte. He did that to Jason. So what now? At some point in time, Skip, you're going to have to hold these players accountable. And you keep telling me, Jerry don't want to make the mistake that Philly made with old Walker to and Wentz. Well, he need to worry about the mistakes that he's already made by paying a bunch of guys that's not performing. At some point, you're probably right, Skip. They're probably going to move on from Mike Nolan. But if guys don't play better, guess what? We're going to have this same discussion next year. It's 10 minutes to 8 West Coast time. What's the date? 11th, 12th? We're going to have the same discussion next year at this time if the players that's on that defense last year and this year don't play better than what they're playing. That's going to be your issue.
All right. So I was on record on this show at least a month ago.
2 months.
Maybe 2 months ago. It's time to drop the mic, at least one of the two mics. And it has to start with the defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan. Knew his father, loved his father, have respect for Mike Nolan's longevity in the league, but it's been too long since he did anything good to great. And he is a crony. He is a best buddy of Mike McCarthy, and that's why he's still afloat coaching this defense. Although, I will give you this, Jerry is such a shrewd operator, he may have known a month ago it's time to cut bait with Mike Nolan, but he starts sniffing that high draft pick, and he says, we just got to play this out. Maybe we'll just lose out with Mike Nolan. I want everybody to understand the depth of my anguish over this defense. It's inexplicably bad. It's mind-blowing.
It's historically bad, Skip.
Hey, seriously, I want everybody, I want this to sink in. If they stay on pace of points allowed, and they're by far the worst in this league this year, they will finish second only to the 1981 Baltimore Colts. In points allowed all time. And it's close. If they stay right on point, they'll just be just a little more than a touchdown short of that team on points allowed. I want that to sink in. That's happening right before your very eyes. And obviously, they are literally getting run off the field game after game.
And because it's Skip, if that's the Jacksonville Jack, if that's the Jets, if that's one of these teams, like that's the Cowboys.
Okay, look, we did get decimated, and it's a legit excuse on offense when you lose 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a Pro Bowl quarterback. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time on offense. But on defense, they've had injuries here or there, but nothing like hit the offense. So I ask you, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's made a couple of Pro Bowls. He makes $21 million a year. Aldon Smith, once upon a time, made first-team All-Pro. And I grant you, he hadn't played for 5 years, but the first maybe 5 games this year, he looked like he was on pace to make a Pro Bowl. That's the level at which he was playing, according to everybody, not just me. Lately, not so much. Disappearing act. But I want people to understand that Tyrone Crawford, in the middle of that line, he makes $9 million a year, which is a pretty nice paycheck.
When last time you heard him call his name?
Thank you. He's on a 5-year, $45 million deal. So he was paid as an anchor. He anchors nothing. I don't even know that he's playing, but he plays high snaps.
What about your linebackers? Talk about them.
The 2 linebackers, they are Pro Bowl linebackers, both of them. In 2018, they look like they were about to take over the league. They're flying sideline to sideline. They're wrecking the New Orleans Saints on a Thursday night at Jerry World. And I'm saying, I got this. This is my future. These are just kids. And I give you, Van Der Esch was hurt for a good portion of the year. But then he came back, and then we saw him the other night.
He looked awful.
He took the bait on a sweep fake that I still, and at least he owned it, but that doesn't make it any better. I got to tell you, he took the bait and starts running to the flank, and Lamar said, thank you. I'll take this.
All he has to do is look at the guard. They pulled the backside guard and tackle.
Okay, I got it. But he left a super highway to the end zone. And Lamar didn't even have to run. Lamar can fly, and he was in like 3rd gear maybe, right? Okay, so my point to you is, I look at it, and I wanted Earl Thomas. I thought maybe you needed one credible player on the back end, and I give you all his baggage, but I just thought maybe he could be a saving grace as an influence of of respectability, Pro Bowl aura on the backside of the defense. Maybe he'd make a play or two. Maybe he would not have allowed Baltimore to run them off the field, even though he's more of a free safety. He's not a strong safety. But still, my point is there's too much talent there for me to say it's their fault. They're quitting. The other night, I told you, that was a quit game by this defense. But especially by the second half, they didn't even want to play anymore. And it wasn't like it was raining and freezing cold. No. It was a pretty nice night. They just don't want to play for Mike Nolan. So what happened a month ago? Jerry Jones had signed 8 free agents, and I thought they would at least bolster the defense. I'm talking about the Gerald McCoys and the Ha-Ha Clinton Dixes, even the Brandon Hughes Carrs. You had them as credible players who have been there and done all that, who can at least lift up the defense to a level of respectability. And what did Jerry do? He cut every last one of them, all 8 of them gone, because they had mutinied against Mike Nolan. And some of their quotes were slipping into Jane Slater's reports anonymously